Despite the tragedy at Fredbear'S Family Diner, co-owners Henry Emily and William Afton continue working to keep the restaurant alive. That's when you, John Hudson, a father looking for work after being laid off, finds a job here as a night security guard. However, you didn't expect to find yourself wrapped in a dangerous game between the two co-owners, where one mistake can end it all. Slowly, you'll learn exactly what happened here. Welcome to Forgotten at Fredbear'S by J-Corn, a game I've been following for almost 4 years now, back when I first started getting into FNAF fan games. After playing the entirety of the game a couple of days ago, I knew I would eventually make a video like this. With that said, here are the credits, and let's find out how we got ourselves in this mess.
I've done security work before, Mr. Afton. But this, the hours, the pay, it doesn't add up. Why me? You are reliable, John. That's all I need. A reliable man who does his job. The previous night guards will tell you everything you need to know. Do not concern yourself with the rest.
You always knew how to cover your tracks, didn't you, William? But I know what you've done. I've always known. It's not revenge. It's justice. Justice for her. I won't let her be forgotten.
First, we must start with the tragedy that took place before we got here. 5 weeks before the party, you're Evan Afton at Fredbear'S Family Diner. You see your brother and his friends bullying Mr. Emily's daughter, Charlotte, the girl who talks to her toys. You try to stand up for her, but it's all for naught. Your brother picks Charlotte up and shoves her outside as she cries. You head outside after her to find her sitting in the rain, crying to herself. However, before you could get to her, you find your father there as well. Charlotte approaches him, who is seemingly comforting Charlotte, though you'd think the first thing he'd do is bring her back inside. That's when you witness an unexplainable horror. No, that can't be. He hurt her. You head back inside to look for Uncle Henry, who's standing to the side. As you speak to him, the puppet speeds past you and heads outside. You tell Uncle Henry what you witnessed. Back as John Hudson, you begin your first shift, guided by two phone guys, a phone duo if you will, Joe A and Joe M.
Welcome to Fredbear'S Family Diner. I'm Joe A. I'll be one of your guides for tonight, so, brace yourself for a fun little evening.
And I'm Joe M.
Fredbear'S Family Diner opened back in 1979, and while it was happy for a time, that all changed when Henry's daughter went missing. Henry then sequestered himself into the basement, and nobody knows what he's been doing down there since. The two Joes tried investigating, but ended up being caught and switched to the day shift. As for William, his behavior's been getting stranger day after day, and would eventually take on the night shift. However, Joe M confesses that he actually dumped that shift onto you, which might explain the suspicious nature of the hours and pay you discussed with William earlier. To make things worse, the animatronics have been acting up ever since Charlotte went missing. For your first night, you need to worry about the puppet and Spring Bonnie. Spring Bonnie will make their way from the show stage to the door on your left. If you notice Spring Bonnie open the door and peek inside, head over to the door and shut it by playing this skill check minigame. As for the puppet, they will make their way to your office and sound a loud alarm which will make the animatronics all head towards you. You won't be able to go on cameras or head to the door as a result. Whenever the puppet leaves the prize corner camera, you can use the speakers in each camera to lure it to the adjacent room, whether that be back to the prize corner or another room of your choosing. However, you must make sure that they don't stay near either of your entrances for too long. Also, the speakers have limited durability in each room, preventing you from just sticking to one room for the entire night, at least when there is a lot of activity. Unlike most fan games, your nights last from 11 AM to 3 AM, and will have to do a separate task afterwards to conclude your shift. Despite this, you'll find yourself quite busy as the nights go on. Your first task involves vent repairs. While repairing the 4 vent shafts, you'll have to ward off Balloon Boy, who loves to crawl around in the vents. The panel you have consists of 2 sections, the radar and the repair task. Each vent has its own unique task, and you must complete all 4 in order to succeed and move on. If Balloon Boy is spotted near any of the vent openings thanks to your radar, flash your light at him to scare him off. You should also be wary of the vent shaft with the manual shutter. There might be something larger in the vents that won't be scared off by light, so if you spot it lurking, shut the vent until it leaves. After completing your task, we get some more dialogue from Henry, revealing the real reason you're in danger during the night shift.
I let you take the night shift. I thought the other guards were too curious. I told you I trusted you to handle things. So go ahead, play your little card. But I know what you did, and I'll be the one who will deal with you. Our creations will be your undoing. I know the truth, and I won't let you live after what you did to my girl. I know what you are capable of. I'm sorry, old friend.
On night 2, things get a bit more complicated with Balloon Boy joining the fray. Balloon Boy will head for the vents and make clear banging noises once he's close. When he opens the vent, close it as soon as possible to prevent his entry. As for the restaurant nowadays, Henry's still missing and hasn't been seen despite Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opening later this year. It's meant to be their flashiest, biggest location yet. But what's going on behind the scenes? After 3 AM, your next task is some good old repairs for Fredbear, guided by Joe A. You must be careful when tending to Fredbear, as any sudden movements will set him off and result in a grisly end. 5 days before the party, you're in your room, crying, distraught over what you witnessed. It's gotten to the point where you start hearing the Fredbear plushie talk to you. So far, your father is unaware that you know, and oddly enough, the plushie makes it sound as if something's happened to your sister Elizabeth. What could he know? On night 3, Foxy will become active, and eventually charge their way to your office. When you see Foxy starting to lean out of their cove and run, shut the curtains until he steps back. While watching him won't make him leave the cove slower, you should still keep an eye on him. You don't want to miss him before it's too late. Joe A. also mentioned something he heard about the animatronics being remotely controlled, which lines up with the previous night guard reporting that Fredbear had been tampered with. All of a sudden, though, Joe M. cuts him off.
Well, speaking of Foxy, I remember something Henry was working on. Something about controlling the animatronics remotely or using them for, I don't know, like experiments or something. And it was right before the night guard noticed that Fredbear was tampered.
Joe! What the hell are you going on about? That's enough! Focus on the job, not on things that don't concern us.
Right, sorry about that. I don't know. With Henry still missing and all, it kind of makes you wonder, like, what was he really up to? And there's the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza opening up later this year.
Joe, I said that's enough! We're not here to talk about that. Stick to the script. We're here to help him survive, not gossip like old ladies. Or do you want him to end up like the others?
No, of course not. I just... Okay, you know what? Back to Foxy. Joe M., you're sounding a bit off tonight. Everything alright?
Oh, I'm fine, Joe.
Joe M. insinuates learning too much about the secrets of the establishment and its mysterious co-owners would make us, quote, end up like the others, prompting his urgency towards making Joe A. stop going off script. Unfortunately, it might be too late. Your next task involves sorting the supply closet with items left outside the door. However, all of this movement generates noise, bringing unwanted attention from Spring Bonnie and Fredbear. If you spot Fredbear, shut off the light in the closet and stay absolutely still until you hear him wander off. As for Spring Bonnie, shine the light on him until he leaves. Then, we get to see what's new with Evan and William Afton.
I don't care. Take care of Joey. She's gonna get us all in trouble.
Hey, champ. You like the yellow ones or the red ones better? You know, I didn't get a party like this when I was your age. Back then, we didn't have animatronics singing our name.
I don't want them to sing to me.
Come on, you'll love it. All your friends will be here. It's going to be perfect.
Do I have to go?
It's only a few more days.
Despite Evan's demeanor, William doesn't bat an eye and only thinks of celebrating his son's birthday. And of course, unfortunately, it looks like Joe A will be gone, confirmed by Joe M in tonight's phone call. The question is, who did Afton get to remove Joe A? Based on the line, quote, "He's gonna get us all in trouble," it must have been another employee from the company, making Joe M a likely culprit. He knew what Joe A did, and possibly reported him to Afton. Let's not forget that they both implied that others suffered a similar fate for being too curious, and Joe A may not be the first one who was disappeared. As for new threats tonight, Fredbear is now active and will make their way to the door in front of you. When he arrives, you must look straight at him and stay completely still until he starts backing away. By the end of the phone call, Joe M sounds almost apathetic, like he's done with the place. It makes you wonder if it really had something to do with Joe A's disappearance.
But if you stay still, if you keep looking right at him, he might just leave you alone.
On your next task, you're being guided by Joe A this time, a message from the past.
Hey, it's Joe A. If you're getting this message, something bad has happened to me. I know this all sounds strange, but you're going to be speaking with her. That puppet behind the curtains. She remembers things people want buried. You'll see a set of questions on the paper I left you. Ask her only what you're given. Her mind's not stable. Don't let her spiral. You'll need to wind the music box to calm her down if she gets too agitated. Now, Foxy, the other problem tonight. That damn freak has been acting up since the kids keep trying to take him apart. Like the last model. He might make his way into the prize counter. If you see him moving, hit the spring lock override. It'll send him into the costume mode temporarily. But listen close. That override button doesn't just affect him. It activates all spring lock mechanisms within a 100-foot radius. It's not something we ever tested fully, so don't press it unless you have to. If Foxy isn't moving, don't do anything. Just ignore him. Hopefully she can help you uncover what's hiding in the basement and learn the truth about Charlotte. Stay quiet, stay safe, and whatever happens, don't tell anyone about what she says.
Due to the puppet's instability, you have a speaker near you to calm her down in case she starts shaking. In the meantime, as you're asking questions, Foxy will occasionally move behind you, and you're provided with a tool which will override its spring locks. And it's not totally clear what will happen if you misuse it, so only use when necessary.
What day is it?
It was raining. The lights flickered. I think it was a Thursday.
No, I mean, what day is it today?
Today is Thursday too. There are only 2 more days until Evan's birthday party.
What is your name?
I don't know. I used to have one, but they don't say it anymore.
Isn't your name just the security puppet?
Yes, it is. I think.
What did Henry tell you to protect?
Children, laughter, the stage. I was made to guard the good things. It's harder now to protect. I don't know why.
Why are the animatronics acting strange?
Their voices were stolen. Their hearts were rewired. Someone changed them. And now they attack without reason.
What is hidden in the basement?
I hear metal breathing. And something crying. Henry said never to go down there. But he did. He always left the key with me. But now, he is gone.
Where has Henry been?
Gone. He left me here. Said he'd fix everything. But he never came back.
So who's in charge?
Afton is. But he disappears a lot too.
What did Afton do?
He found me outside. He smiled while I stopped breathing.
What?
Please help me. Something is wrong.
Who are you?
I don't know anymore. A memory, a warning. I don't know what I am. Maybe I'm just what's left. Please, help me. I'm scared and confused. Help me find out what happened to me. Here are the keys to the basement.
Locked away in the basement, mourning the loss of his daughter, Henry swore vengeance on William. He tampered with the animatronics, made them aggressive in an attempt to kill William once he took the night shift. However, that didn't go according to plan once we were hired to replace him. For a while, I wasn't sure whether Henry knew that we were hired to replace William during the night shift, but I think there's more evidence pointing to him not knowing. For one, we already know that nobody's really had contact with him since Charlotte's passing, except for William, and he certainly didn't want Henry to know about the hiring. Then we have Henry's monologue after night 1, where he mentions letting William take the night shift since the other guards were too curious, snooping around the basement. We know this is referring to Joe A and Joe M. As he's doing this, he mentions that their creations will be William's undoing, while he's reprogramming Fredbear. If he knew we were working the night shift instead of William, I doubt he would have proceeded as planned. But maybe Henry is just that far gone, willing to remove anybody at any cost to get to William. Regardless, I'm in favor of the former conclusion that he's unaware. The one line that Henry says during this monologue that made me think otherwise was the line, quote, "So go ahead, play your little guard." When he said this, it made it sound as though he knew William was playing someone, or having someone play for him, having us play as the night shift guard in William's place. However, this line could also be interpreted as William playing the night guard, as, William playing the role of a night guard. So it just wasn't enough evidence to convince me that Henry did know about us being there instead of William. As for the puppet, she's possessed by Henry's daughter, Charlotte, but she doesn't remember who she is. She remembers the day of her death and who killed her, and yet isn't looking for vengeance. She wants to remember who she is, and she wants the violence to stop. She's upset about the animatronics' aggressive behavior, saying, quote, "Their voices were stolen, their hearts were rewired." Considering these animatronics were her father's beloved creations, she probably had fond memories of them, and seeing them put someone in danger every night weighed heavily on her. After all, the puppet is the only animatronic that does not actively attack us. With the puppet, she just sounds the alarm, bringing everyone to us. But we should also consider the possibility that the puppet isn't really trying to do this. She's not really trying to put us in danger, but in the end of the day, it's all against her will. Given some of the dialogue that she had in response to the questions, it also makes me wonder if Henry knows that there was a part of Charlotte in the puppet. Henry tells the puppet, "I'm going to fix everything," but there's no way of knowing if that was just meant to be him talking to himself. After all, he did make the puppet specifically for Charlotte, right? In order to protect her. So the puppet is all he has of Charlotte now, so it would make sense if he spoke to the puppet as if it was Charlotte to some extent, while not being aware that Charlotte is possessing the puppet. With that in mind, she gives you the key to the basement, so that you could find out the truth for her once and for all. On night 5, there is no phone call anymore. Either Joe M was removed like Joe A, or he quit and got away as quickly as he could. Either way, everything is the same as the night before. Once it's 3 AM, you make your way to the basement.
These machines were meant to be the future, William. The start of something new. Fredbear'S Pizza. A place where children can laugh again. A place where you and I could have built something good.
In the basement, you must deactivate Freddy, Foxy, Bonnie, and Chica to survive. Each animatronic has its own deactivation task and code, along with their own mechanics. While in the central room, if an animatronic arrives, you must hide under the desk until they leave. In Freddy's room, you must watch him and stay still until he leaves. As for the deactivation task, pull the breaker switch down until the bar fills up. Once the task is done, return to the center room and enter the shutdown command in the console. Keep in mind, however, even after you deactivate an animatronic, they will still visit the central room until all 4 of them have been deactivated. As for Bonnie, shine a light on him until he leaves, and cut the wires in the order provided. For Foxy, close the curtains whenever he tries to open them, and wind the lever until the circle is complete. Finally, for Chica, shut the door whenever they approach, and press the buttons in the correct order. After each animatronic, Henry's monologue will continue on until all 4 are deactivated.
But I know what you did. To her. To Charlie. You stood there and you watched the light go out of her eyes, didn't you? My little girl. And you took her from me. I thought if I gave these machines a greater purpose, if I made them strong enough, smart enough, maybe they could end you. Maybe they could give her peace. Fredbear wasn't enough. Neither were the others upstairs. You slipped through again, like you always do. So I turned to the prototypes. Stronger, smarter, obedient only to me. Never to you. I can't forgive you. Not for Charlie. Not for Elizabeth. Not for any of them. I don't know how, but you seem to destroy everything you touch. I want you to remember her face. Remember what you stole. Because Everything I've built since that night has been for her. You will die here, William, and you will suffer.
Thank you for getting rid of them for me. But I can't let you walk out of here with all that, John. Nothing personal.
Based off what Henry said, it sounded as though he was really unaware that William wasn't here. He made it sound as though William managed to take advantage of the animatronics, which is why he turned to the prototypes that only he had access to. That's why he left the key with the puppet, who would be safe. We also learned that William's daughter died as well, Elizabeth. This must have been the Nexus event that drove William to kill Charlotte, or maybe the final straw that broke the camel's back. So in the end, we deactivated them all for William, and we paid the price for it, just like Joe A. And now, it's time for Evan's birthday. Hey, it's the crybaby. Bet he's still scared of the robots. Save it for later. We'll have fun soon. Happy birthday, Evan. Hello, William? Where have you been? It's been so long since we've seen you. Like you cared about me. Or anyone for that matter. You don't know what you're talking about. I need to talk to you. Come with me. Heh, guess he's gone. That means we can finally have some fun.
Well, look who finally decided to come home. You're here about Charlie. Of course you are.
Why'd you do it?
You really don't know. It wasn't just about her. It was about you. What? You had everything. The money, the awards, your name on every goddamn news article. Henry Emily, the genius behind Fredbear'S. You were the face of the future. I was just the man behind the curtain, building your dreams. You had a wife who loved you, kids who adored you, and Charlie. God, she looked at you as if you hung the stars. Meanwhile, my wife left. Michael hated me. Evan feared me. And Elizabeth got too close to one of my creations, and I just let it happen. Because that's what I do, Henry. Everything I build turns to rot. But you kept building a dream. So I tore it down. I took something you'd never get back. Not because I had to, but because I could. I wanted you to wake up like I do, empty.
Come on, give him a big old birthday kiss.
Oh, he's gonna cry again.
She was just a child. Evan.
In a shocking turn of events, Henry is the one responsible not only for the bite of 83, but for the spring lock failures that set off in William's suit. He used the spring lock override tool that we use when speaking with the puppet. This must have been what Joey was talking about. After all, it's a tool that indiscriminately triggers all spring locks within 100 meters. Even though he mentioned that the tool would be used to switch the animatronics back into costume mode, I think what he was really trying to say is that it's a tool that can switch the animatronics between the two modes. So any costume would be able to be switched into animatronic mode and vice versa. This is what happened to William and Evan. With that said, I don't think it was Henry's intention to get Evan caught in the crossfire. After hearing William's explanation for what he did, I imagine he would have been seeing red, even after hearing Evan's cries. Remember, Evan saw Henry as an uncle, and I'd like to believe to some extent Henry cared for Evan. After all, he certainly seemed to care for Elizabeth. Henry might have even been a father figure for Evan since he had such fear for William. It's a rather tragic ending because now Evan's blood is on Henry's hands. Now, one thing I did ponder, especially as I was playing the game, was the possibility that Henry intentionally triggered the tool knowing Evan would get hurt. This is mainly because I had to imagine that if Joe A knew about the dangers of the spring lock tool, Henry would certainly know. But of course, as I mentioned before, it's possible that while he may have known about the dangers of the tool, his emotions got ahead of him after his talk with William. His intentions truly can be left up for interpretation. However, I'd like to think to some degree that because of how fondly he thought of Elizabeth and I would imagine Evan, maybe part of him really didn't realize what they were doing until it was too late. Regardless, after this, we get the infamous box, which cannot be unlocked, as this is the bad ending. In order to get the good ending, you have to collect notes left behind by Michael throughout the first night and post-shift sections. Evan keeps crying every night. He says he sees things moving at Fredbear'S when nobody's there. Ever since Charlie went missing, he's been acting weird. It's kind of funny how that balloon boy animatronic looks like me when I was little. I think Dad's trying to mess with me. He said it's a reminder of his favorite troublemaker. Henry hasn't shown up in a while. When I asked Dad, he started acting mysterious again. It reminds me of when Mom took Liz and left. Dad won't even talk about it. The new Freddy's place is supposed to have a Pirate Foxy animatronic. I told Dad that one's gonna be my favorite. My favorite employee, Joe A, got fired today. Kinda sucks. He was pretty cool. Used to sneak me extra tokens when Dad wasn't around. At least we still have the other Joe, but he's been acting weird lately. Me and the guys are planning something for Evan's birthday. We're gonna make him see that Fredbear'S isn't scary. He needs to toughen up. These highlight some of the events leading up to Evan's birthday from Michael's perspective. He was aware of Evan's fear with the animatronics and thought of a plan that could hopefully alleviate that fear, but it all went horribly wrong, and likely in Michael's eyes, it was all his fault. Going through all this, it's not exactly clear why William thinks his son hates him. They even seem to be on good terms based off the notes, like how they spoke about Pirate Foxy being his favorite. Even the comparison with Balloon Boy and how his father saw him as his favorite troublemaker. It makes me wonder what exactly happened to give William the idea that Michael hated him. Obviously, we can understand the fear point of view from Evan. He did see his father kill Charlotte. But now that you've collected all 6 notes, you can replay the box section, and when you open it, you get a Fredbear plushie. I think this part will help give a little bit of insight as to why Michael might hate his father so much.
Evan, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm so sorry. I didn't think you would go that far. I didn't think that you were always scared of that place, and I made it worse. I thought maybe you'd laugh. Or at least see it wasn't real. Dad's gone. Right after it happened, his body disappeared, just vanished. Now it's just me. I didn't mean to hurt you, Evan. I didn't mean to scare you. I just wanted you to stop crying. To stop being afraid. But I messed up. I'm gonna fix it. I don't know how yet, but I will. I'll stay here. I will put you back together. And then I'm gonna go find him. I'm going to go find Dad. Wherever he is. I don't care how long it takes. Evan, just don't leave me too.
Don't leave me too. This line made me realize that Michael must know about Elizabeth's death. For me, that's the nail in the coffin that helps confirm that Michael did know about Elizabeth's death. The only other reason I could imagine him saying, "don't leave me too," is maybe because Henry disappears. I imagine, as we already saw, he's quite close with William's family, so Henry's probably sequestered after William's disappearance, and that might have something to do with what he says here as well. Now we have unlocked the good ending, and learned that somehow William has disappeared, and the chaos that ensued after what happened with him and his son. Michael is remorseful for what he did, or at least thinks he did, and swears to fix everything. Given, even if he knew about why the incident came to happen, I doubt he would really blame himself any less. After this, the last thing to see comes from Custom Night, on Max Difficulty. After beating Max Difficulty Custom Night, you get a newspaper clipping. Vintage Pizzeria given new life. A hiring call for the new restaurant has gone out, and on the bottom, authorities are still investigating the sudden disappearance of William Afton. I think we may have found him, though. And that concludes the story of Forgotten at Fredbear'S. Our character, John Hudson, unfortunately did not make it out of this deadly game, at the hands of William, of course. Henry is probably distraught over what he did to Evan, and likely also searching for William. After all, his vengeance is not over. Michael seeks to fix everything, but first he needs to find his father, who, despite his injuries, has made it out, and found his way to the new Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, continuing his plan to ruin Henry and his legacy. Charlotte never got to find out the truth behind who she is, and is once again left alone. I have to say, this is a pretty interesting way to reinterpret the beginnings of the FNAF story. While it's not the first time I've seen this justification for William's actions, having Charlotte's death come first and having it being what I consider his breaking point is a first. Everything in William's life went wrong, on a personal front and business-wise, where he was slighted and essentially forgotten. Meanwhile, Henry was on top of the moon, having success in all avenues of his life. And this left William furious. So he wanted to drag Henry down and make him feel what he felt. Empty. Henry's response to his daughter's death was really interesting though, and in a sense much more expected compared to what happens in the FNAF canon, but I suppose that's also because of the fact that Henry knows what happened this time. Having him play the role of a vengeful father, using the animatronics to kill William, is new for his character, from my perspective anyways, from what I've experienced and seen among all these fan games. Of course, this role of the vengeful father, the role that Henry played, was only possible because Evan saw what his father did and told Henry. This explains Evan's fear of William, and subsequently the animatronics, because he was haunted with Charlotte's death, and it wouldn't be surprising if he saw anything else that might have helped reinforce that. One last thing I want to mention before wrapping up here has to do with these hallucinations that can happen throughout the night, where we see the phrase, "he heard us," with flashing images of the puppet and a girl. And when I first saw this, I initially thought that this had to be Charlotte and Elizabeth. Obviously, Henry mentions this already, blaming William for the deaths of both Charlotte and Elizabeth, especially considering what William said about what happened to Elizabeth. He also blames himself to that degree. And so I was kind of hesitant to mention this because obviously it's a bit of a weird detail. Why would Elizabeth be present here? She died at another restaurant, right? Circus Baby's Diner, or what would be Circus Baby's Diner, William's own location. And so why would Elizabeth be with Charlotte? I couldn't really come up with anything that would help justify that, and in general it just seems out of place. The only other reasoning I could come up with is that the phrase "he heard us" is meant to kind of reflect both the puppet and Charlotte, because the puppet is kind of undergoing a bit of an identity crisis, right? They don't know if they're a memory, they don't really know who they are anymore. They just know what happened to Charlotte. And so it makes me wonder, is this like kind of like a combination of the puppet and Charlotte? It's weird to imagine it that way, but I can't think of any other reasoning that would make sense as to why they say "he hurt us." Given that last teaser showing Freddy Fazbear's Pizza and the incoming missing children incident, it makes me wonder whether this game will get a sequel or not. Nothing's been confirmed, but regardless of whether this gets a sequel or not, this story stands alone on its own pretty well anyways. And with that said, I must give props to everyone that was a part of this game. Great job. And with that said, I hope you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, comment, let me know what you enjoyed from the video and what you want to see from me. The game will be in the description below as always, as well as a playlist of all my previous story breakdowns before. And with that said, I'll see you in another video. Take care.